We'll start off with the roast master here, Max. So,
I'm so ready.
Yeah, I am too, actually. So, first of all, initial reactions from when we saw the regions being announced and why simply we just can't get a straight answer as to why it happened the way that it did.
So I understand the committee as it was laid out. Minnesota, Penn State should be your 1 and 8 as the brackets laid out. Penn State obviously can't be in Minnesota's because they're assigned Fargo because it's the closest regional to them. Penn State has to move somewhere. The argument I've been making for a long time that nobody wants to hear, and it would be unconventional.
Marissa, she doesn't want to hear it, apparently.
Correct. It would be unconventional is to swap Penn State and Ohio State to start off with. They're technically tied at 8 in the pairwise. Everybody knows how the tiebreakers work. I get why they're the 8 and Ohio State is the 9. But it would be, in my opinion, not crazy to have Ohio State get the 8th, being that they just beat them in their conference tournament, have a better record than them versus each other over the year, and they're tied to start with. And Penn State has to move anyway. So that would allow you to bring a 9 seed out, which is top of your tier 3 teams, and bring in a lower seed into the number 1 overall bracket. That would eliminate almost all of the controversy we're having right now. It would prevent St. Cloud State from being in there. You would only have 2 Minnesota teams in there. And I think the vast majority of people wouldn't care. The people in Minnesota would be happy and everything would work out. Now, I get that that's not an option because it just hasn't been done before. There's no precedent for it as far as I'm aware. So the way that everything else shook out is just asinine to me. I don't know why they chose to make all of the other moves. Like, they could have done 2 or 3 small moves where it was necessary and left it as is, and then just relied on here is where, everything went and we stuck to bracket integrity, this, that, and the other thing. And they chose to go the other way around and say, oh, we're pushing Minnesota State in here. And the biggest issue I have with it is not necessarily that all 3 teams from Minnesota are in there. It's the fact that that regional is already sold out. You're not bringing other teams in to sell tickets or create an atmosphere or anything else. They've got no control over that anymore. You're just bringing them in there because it's closer and cheaper for everything else. And I understand the NCAA has to cut costs where they can. And, you're there to make money for a certain part of it. But this is for the athletes as well. Like, if you want them to have the most integrity for their athletic tournament, just follow the formula that's already laid out in front of you.
It's interesting, right, Max? And Ryan, I want to bring you in on this just because, as Max laid out, they could have done a couple of swaps. And granted, anytime that a bracket's released, there's going to be people that don't like it. There's not a perfect solution ever. But this one seems to be a little bit more puzzling than in years past. And the conspiracy theory that's out there is, well, wait a second, 2021, Duluth, St. Cloud, Minnesota State, 3 Minnesota schools in the Frozen Four. Is this something that was in the back of the committee's head when they laid this out?
I want to say yes, because, conspiracy theorists are fun. I love doing that kind of thing. And the interesting thing is I think there could be a case for that. Because if you remember, way back in 2005, all 4 of the Frozen Four participants came out of the WCHA. It was UND, Minnesota, Denver, and Colorado College. And they tweaked some things the following year to make sure that didn't happen again. And, they went back with that with football, too. Remember, it was the national championship between 2 SEC teams, and that was the push to get the college football playoff. So I think there was a little bit in the back of their minds that, we had 3 Minnesotan teams, 2 years ago, and it was not the big major programs. It was Minnesota and, not a diss to Mncaa or St. Cloud, but not nationwide programs that, casual fans are going to know. So there might have been a little something in play. I don't think it was the full determining thing, but I like the idea because conspiracy theories in sports are always fun. So I have NMU fans who are thinking the refs had it in for them late in the game on Saturday. So that's always
themselves in the foot. Yeah. Give up a lead with 2.5 minutes left.